Ladies and gentlemen, we are shortly starting and kicking off our last chat with our two esteemed panelists. But before that, I would like to wrap up some of the most interesting information that Katarina was emphasizing in her presentation. So in Slovakia, 65% of women are working compared to Slovenia or Sweden, where the participation of female employees is much higher. And there is also 20% of Slovak women who are paid less than their male colleagues. So we have to put the effort together in order to prevent the gender pay gap. 93% of working women are working full-time, which is very difficult when they want to reconcile the childcare responsibilities and household responsibilities. So the flexibility is again the key factor in attaining a sustainable and resilient environment that favors also women workers. And now we are going to open our second discussion, not second discussion, it's already the fourth discussion. We are going to chat about the beauty bias and about the injustice in the workplace and attractiveness of people that can sometimes may lead to some other biases. So I am very happy to welcome our two panelists. Big applause for them, please. Hi, ladies.
Hi,
Hello.
I will put on my face mask to prevent the spread of coronavirus. How are you feeling today?
Excellent.
Okay. Thank you.
I am very happy to have you here. I would like to introduce Mateja Čotar, General Manager and Country President of Novartis Slovakia. Hi, hello.
Hi.
And Olivia Hurbanová, the founder of Olinclunsive and Lecturer of the Year 2018. Hi.
Hi.
As we outlined, we are going to talk about the beauty bias. And even though I think that we are living in a developed and liberal world, there are many biases which account for unfair advantage that some people have over the others. Some of the most common biases are sexism, racism, ageism, but there is also very common bias, pervasive bias, which is referred to as lookism, and that's the beauty bias. So why are physically attractive people more likely to be interviewed for jobs and hired afterwards?
Okay, so
Olivia.
there is no doubt that looks matter, and we are always told don't judge book by its cover, but this is exactly what our brain does constantly. So we are constantly judging each other. We are doing it in milliseconds by their height, by their weight, by their facial symmetry, by their looks, by their clothing. And what we know from experimental studies is that really attractive individuals, men and women, are more likely to get a call back for interview. They are more likely to be hired. They are less likely to be fired, they are less likely to be punished, and they are more likely to be promoted. And we also know that we have this beauty is good stereotype, so we usually associate beauty with these good attributes, like we consider beautiful people to be like more competent, more intelligent, more social, more trustworthy, and all these kind of things. But I want to emphasize that it's context dependent. So, for example, what we see from European studies is that we have this positive bias towards attractive opposite sex individuals, but we have neutral or negative bias towards the attractive same-sex individuals. And if you are a scientist and you are a good-looking scientist, your beauty can go against you. If you are a leader or women in leadership, again, it could go against you. Women in leadership.
If the HR person is female.
Yes.
For example.
So it depends who is interviewing you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always context dependent. So.
Mateja, what is your perspective?
It depends. You know, I partially agree, but I have a real life experience. So I'm going to share a few today, if you don't mind.
That's perfect.
When I started working in pharmaceutical industry 20 years ago, I actually got interviewed by a gentleman. He was Dutch. to be fully transparent. And I had 20 kilos more than I have today, okay? And he said to me, you know what? When I was leaving the room, he said, you know what? It's none of my business, but it matters how you look in business. You know, and I was super hurt. You know, I was young, I was at the beginning of my career, and I said, gosh, you know, I'm going to be judged by that. So actually, he made me lose that weight. So he did me a favor. You know, I think that everything has an advantage or a disadvantage. It just depends how you look at it. We are facing every day barriers on our roadways, and it's just what we learn from them and how we tackle them. And beauty biases, I tend to partially agree with you. It's sometimes very difficult because people judge by the way you look. And there's another story, you know, and one of my HR partners in my previous company said to me, you will see the candidate at its best when they get interviewed. So do not expect anything beyond that. So it's important as well what you're looking for. If a lady is sitting behind a computer doing, you know, a development of a program, it doesn't matter how she looks, right? But if she's a face of the company, she needs to wash her hair. Beauty is not just looking beauty, it's how you wear your body, you know, and how you feel in it. So
that's a beautiful notion. It's how you wear your body.
Yes.
It's how you wear your body, right?
Yes, it is.
So, what are the factors that are discriminating some people against? What could be the factor, like tattoos or obese people?
Yeah. Very often what we see is discrimination against obese people, oddly dressed people, tattooed people, or people that just don't fit into society's dominant aesthetic criteria. And again, what we see is that these kind of people are treated differently. And they are also considered to be less competent, less trustworthy. So again, we associate all these negative attributes with them. And that's the problem. And again, what we see from research is that people with minor facial anomalies or disfigurements are considered to be less intelligent, less hardworking. And I think it's very unfair bias. So if we want to build a fair society, we need to know about these implicit biases, and we need to judge people by their behavior and competence and not based on the happenstance of their looks. So it's very important.
But sometimes they don't even get the chance to show their abilities, right? So what can we do to tackle such behavior?
I think it's self-awareness, self-reflection, and upskilling the people who are actually in hiring positions. You know, I'll give you a real-life example. I have in my team one gentleman. He's not a standard weight, let's put it this way, yeah? Standard for a normal person. But he's probably one of the best marketeers I've seen in Slovakia. I have in my team a lady, she's 50 plus. You know, she was the #1 person during Corona times to perform the online trainings. It was not the young people, you know? So these are biases which you might have in your head, but actually, you know, the actions speak for itself. And I think we should be aware, and we should put that pink glasses off when we talk to people and really try to understand what are their values. What are their beliefs, you know, what they were raised by, their parents, their grandparents. I think this is much more beautiful than how they look.
I will pick up, for example, the tattoos, because I remember when I was little, my dad used to tell me that tattooed people came from prison and they are vicious people, you know, from, I don't know, organized crime or whatever. And with time, we are now perceiving tattooed people as very interesting, stylish. They are also hired and get into top positions. So are we getting more tolerant, not only towards tattooed people, but maybe also towards people who are from another ethnic minority and so on?
The problem is that this beauty bias is under-researched, so we do not have data, and we do not have data definitely from our Slovak cultural context. But what we know, for example, from UK studies is that it's getting better, but anyway, 41% of HR people honestly admit that they reject tattooed people because they consider them to be not professional. For example, there is a stigma in the industry, they are intolerant to this. Yes, so it's not easy. And for example, for women that have this type of body art, they are perceived as more promiscuous, they are perceived perceived as more heavy drinkers. Yeah, and we know that these are just stereotypes. These are not confirmed by any study, but this is just the perception that they are triggering in our brains when we just see them. So again, as Mateja said, awareness is the key. If we don't know about these biases, we cannot like spread the awareness, and we cannot change anything. So we have to be very honest with us, not to lie to ourselves that it's not there. It is there, and we need to know about it, and we need to
Be more objective.
Yes, definitely.
I think you're talking about diversity and inclusion. You know, diversity is given, right? There is a panel of various people in this room. We don't know much about it, about each other. You know, I think first thing is very important to understand the other part, the other side. And the second is, you know, do you decide to include this person? And diversity is given, but inclusion is a choice. And I think this is really important in today's world because, as you said, you know, I don't care if my colleagues are wearing tattoos or big earrings or something, you know. There is a business protocol which you should wear when you are attending a business meeting, but how they come to work, it doesn't really make a difference. For me, it's important what they bring around the table. And it comes from, like I mentioned, I'm going to repeat myself, it's basically the values and the behaviors, attitude to work, and their skills. And that's what matters to me.
That's nice. Yeah, and that's also the way it should be.
Yes.
From my perspective.
It comes with age as well, you know, Babsi, you know, my mom said to me, first you throw the stone who's without a sin. I was as well a young leader, and I made a lot of mistakes. I was biased, and I still am, you know, but I'm more aware of it. So I try to switch off the bias lenses when I talk to my colleagues and my teammates.
So we need more enlightened leaders like Mateja.
Yeah, like Mateja.
Very kind
You
ladies.
should, you know, provide some mentorship schemes for people who tend to be biased. But unfortunately, we have to compete not only against men when we are seeking for a job, but also against more attractive women. So suppose we have a scenario where an HR person has to pick from two identical women with the same CV, same level of experience and expertise. Is the attractiveness factor the determining factor, or may not be the determining factor?
Again, it depends on industry. If you are in an industry where you are facing the customer, and also it depends on who the interviewer is. Yeah, if it is the opposite sex and you're attractive individual, and sorry, I'm applying it to heterosexual norms, then it is an advantage. But if it's the opposite, it could go against you. Also, we know that when women are applying for more masculine jobs, like in STEM or IT engineering, we know that attractiveness go against them. Yeah? So it's the same as the science bias. Yeah, if you're scientist, good looking, it go against you. So again, it's context dependent. There is no easy answer to that.
Yeah, I think it's a very complex, you know, question because it's again back to personal biases, you know, and an HR person can be a young woman, a senior woman, a divorced woman, or a young man, a senior man, or a divorced man. You know, we talk both biases, both genders. It's not just with female. And very important point from my end is, you know, we should really look for competencies and skills we're looking for. And, you know, we are not selecting for a Miss of the World. We're actually looking for somebody who will bring the knowledge to our surroundings. We're looking for a muscle to build with, right?
Yeah, that's right. And we have a question coming in from Slido. So it's addressed to you. Ms. Hurbanová, is there any difference between women and men as students?
I don't have data to provide, but maybe I just can mention the
From
difference
your
in maths.
observation.
Yeah, in maths, for example, what we know from maths, we consider men to be better in this mechanics and maths, and we know that when women are told before taking a test that they are better at doing maths, they can overcompete men. Yeah, so it really matters how we prime people, what words we choose, and how we behave and interact with them. So.
Would you like to add anything to that?
No, I wanted to take another one, if you don't mind, since we have two good ones.
Do you want to read it out, or shall I read it out for you?
I can.
Yeah? Okay.
Is strong presence of social networks in people's lives in favor of the beauty bias? I think social media are not doing us a favor. you know, and I can give you a really practical example. I have a daughter, she's 12 years old. She has idols
From
that are not
Instagram.
real. No, from TikTok. She said, Instagram, mom, you're
I'm too
obsolete.
outdated.
Yes, me too. I already got that feedback, you know. So I think it's really important that we understand the impact and the influence and that we explain it to our kids. I think that's who they will grow then in a more mature individuals and adults. I think we have a very strong responsibility to raise our kids with that awareness and to educate them and not to punish them, but actually show them the way. And then as well, maybe, you know, I really loved a post recently, you know, one of the ladies, she was overweight and she made a photo in her bikini. And she said, you know, I feel I'm beautiful and I feel good in my skin. And there are any other ladies post your photos. And I think that's really great, you know, because it's encouraging a different profile than a standard one, if you wish.
Dow is doing similar things. Yeah, they are
Yes, exactly.
displaying.
Didn't want to promote, but
Oh, sorry.
that's okay.
Beep, beep. A company beep.
Sorry.
Yeah, so social networks can be a good thing, but also a bad thing. We just need to find the role models who are communicating the right values to us.
Yeah. But usually we are, medias are magnifying this beauty bias. Yeah, everywhere we put filters on our photos and we are displaying something that is not reality. But people are imitating. The most of the behavior that we do by imitation. Yeah, so that's why plastic surgery is on rise. So it has also these consequences. So I think it needs to be discussed. Yeah.
As you outline, attractive people are generally perceived as being more sociable, healthy, successful, honest, and talented. What is happening in our brain on the cognitive level when we are seeing an attractive person? Is there something going on in the hippopotamus, or what's the word for it?
Something very, very specific is going on. For example, we know that beautiful faces, and we know what beauty is. We think that it's subjective, but it's not that subjective. And from many studies, we know that beautiful faces are symmetrical faces. Also, average faces are more appealing, and it has something to do also with our hormones. And what is happening when we are perceiving beautiful faces, for example, it's much easier for our brain to process beautiful face and to categorize it. So it takes less cognitive effort. So that's why we probably have these positive associations, because our brain is a lazy machine, so it's easier to process, then it's better. Yeah? And also what we see is not only activation of visual cortex and the parts that are responsible for face recognition, but we see also activation of pleasure and reward centers. So that's why focusing on beautiful people is rewardful. It feels good. Yeah? And also what we see is that our brain reflexively associates beauty and good. Yeah? So that's why we have this beauty and good stereotype. So I would like to emphasize that it's not a cultural thing. It's very biological. It's deeply rooted in us, and we need to do something about it. Yeah? Because we cannot escape our biology, but again, we can build awareness. We can understand, why am I looking? Why am I searching in a room? Yeah, what kind of faces I am looking at, yeah? And if we know about it, we have more control over it, and we can be more objective. We can build more fair society and companies and whatever, families.
Do you have a case in point from your experience?
I do, back to your point that, you know, they're more social or more welcome to the company. I had a best friend at secondary school. She was, and she still is, obese. She's not overweight, she's obese, but she's the funniest person to be around. She has a golden heart, and I would never trade her for anyone different, you know? And everybody who meets her feels the same. And I have a really touchy story. You know, when she got married with a very average guy, let's put it in the context. And, you know, because she's as she is, he could not carry her over the church doorstep. So she carried him. We were applauding so much, our palms were red, you know, but this shows that, you know, this is just a bias, why a man should carry a woman, you know, and I have very fond memories of her.
That's great, and you said that you've been friends for...
I think, now you can calculate how old I am, from
secondary
school.
From secondary school, okay. So is the beauty bias present also among young children, and are the cute kids favored over the others in nurseries, kindergartens, elementary schools.
What do you think, Babsi?
I think yes, but I don't want to, spoil it. So tell us more about it.
Yeah, so again, meta-analytical studies are showing us that even small kids are getting preferential treatment when they are beautiful. We know from schools that teachers are paying more attention and focusing more on attractive individuals. That's why then they are considered to be more talented, more competent. Then they get better grades. Then they can be promoted easier. So it's present, and also kids are doing the same inferences to adults. So they also favor beautiful faces. They stare longer at beautiful faces. They do these positive associations with pretty faces and negative associations with not these typical beautiful people. So it's also among kids both ways.
That's very interesting. So how does the physical attractiveness actually shape our self-esteem and self-confidence when we are growing up, but also when we, get into universities and jobs?
I'm working a lot with some of my colleagues, peers as well, and direct reports in terms of, how do we coach each other to be a better version of ourselves, right? And one of the things that I noticed is I'm as well mentoring a few individuals. And one of the things that I noticed was that how people look, it's very influential on self-esteem, particularly with women, to be honest. I think men have more, let's say, self-esteem by default. Maybe it's linked to the hormonal balance, I wouldn't tell. But I'm recently mentoring one of the ladies. And
very sorry, can I fix your mic a bit?
Absolutely, yeah, thank you. So when I was recently having a discussion with one of my mentees, she basically said, I don't feel good in my body. I used to look really well, then I had a baby, I gained a few weight, and I can't lose those kilos. And we said, okay, before we progress, do you want to do something about it? And sometimes it's such a small thing called support. And you help a single lady, to change her self-esteem. And I just recently had a call with her. It's 6 months from there. She lost 10 kilos and she feels amazing. And you could see the way she speaks, And she says, things started to change around me. But I didn't change. I said, no, you didn't, but you vibrate a different energy. So I think that's very important, As I said before, you can wear a dress. It doesn't matter how many kilograms you have in the morning on your scale, you should be happy with who you are. And I come from pharmaceutical industry. I really want to pass this message, appreciate your health, be grateful, thank in the morning for being grateful for having a healthy life.
Thank you. We touched upon this issue already, but should appearance be treated as bias or rather as a job-related and job-relevant trait?
Appearance should...
It comes down to industries, I suppose.
Appearance is okay. It's a job-relevant trait, but not beauty. Because beauty, if we talk about beautiful, symmetrical faces, I think this is a form of discrimination. And we have this notion in our society that in customer-facing jobs, we have to be beautiful. But we don't have to be beautiful. We have to be presentable. We have to be cultivated. We have to be decent. And these are the qualities, and knowledgeable and all the other things. But these are the qualities that we should emphasize. And beauty itself, it's just a complete accident. It's not a skill. And I think if we are promoting and praising people for their beauty, we are sending subliminal message that beauty matters, and that's I don't think that it's a good message to send to people and to send to our kids. I think that there are other attributes and other characteristics that we should praise people for.
Yeah, I will repeat what I said at the beginning because I really believe in it. I think beauty comes from inside out. Who you are, how you accept other people, how you treat them, how you help them, how you support them. I think this is as well what makes us happy, and because we're happy, we shine and we vibrate a different energy. And we should be role models if we're aware of it, and if we're not, be as well courageous and give feedback. You know, I think this is very much lacking in this world, to give in a decent way, a respectful way, feedback to an individual where this is not happening. So I wish people would be seen as beautiful for what they do and how they are, and not how they look.
Yeah, you should go to, you know, like some sort of events that are celebrating diversity, because your speech is so inspirational, and thank you for that. Are there any procedures that enable employers to eliminate beauty bias or appearance data from their hiring practices? Do you have something like this at place?
I'm aware of one of this kind. In my current company, when they were hiring senior management, they actually took out the photos and the gender. So they were actually looking at the CVs without a photo, and only the final candidates that were screened already from the HR department were actually then appearing in their physical presence. And I think that was very good, because it excludes the bias for race, for weight, for looks, you know, but you're actually really hiring for a skill and competency.
Yeah. We know that,
Olivia.
for example, structured interviews can help compared to unstructured. So if you have clear set of questions, competence-based questions, situational, behavioral questions, also these excluding photos. But again, we have to keep in mind that when you are checking a CV, there is a history of bias in it, because these people are more promoted in the past because of their beauty, because of their appearance. So again, but competence-based questions and all this stuff can help to reduce it. I would say we are unable to eliminate it completely, but we can make it more objective.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are going to take another question from Slido. How would you bring up this topic in a company to management level and people who are responsible for hiring?
I think we tackled it already.
Yeah.
You know, I think we have to be aware. We have to flag it. You know, if we have a colleague, a counterpart in an HR department, maybe we should ask a question. You know, haven't we been biased? You know, what have we done to exclude biases? I think, like I mentioned before, feedback and being aware and, you know, honest about it, talking about it, this will help. But then it's down to individuals, you know, and it's you decide every day how you want to be and who you want to be and how you want to treat people. And with some people, it cannot be excluded. It's so much, you know,
Ingrained.
rooted in their nature. Yes, so I think that's as well reality.
Yeah. And also it's part of our culture. Environment shapes us a lot, and I think in our culture we are emphasizing and magnifying this bias a lot, So you can see it in the cover of the magazines, movies, celebrities, they all are in this symmetrical beauty zone, So if we are not going to change this, we are never going to solve this problem. So there was a question if it is natural or if education can solve it. It's very natural, it's even biological, but we are able to adapt, we are able to learn, we are able to change. And if we are aware, again, as it was said, we can do something about it. So
thank you very much, ladies, for your time. Thank you for being with us. And I wish you all the best. Have a beautiful evening. Take care, be safe, be healthy. And I would like to ask our guys in the audience to give it out for our panelists.
thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us. I hope that you are still online, because we had a really, really fruitful afternoon. We hosted a lot of inspiring guests and panelists, and I would like to again wrap up a little bit the last discussion that we had on beauty bias. So beauty comes from inside out, as we know, and it is very, very important to give feedback in a decent manner to people who are maybe less attractive. And there are also some strategies on a managerial level. We can, for example, take out photographs when we are reviewing the CVs. And beauty bias is biological, so we just need to get aware of it and tackle it. And try to be more objective when hiring people with some sort of unattractiveness. I would like to thank you on behalf of the American Chamber of Commerce in the Slovak Republic that you were with us in the audience and also at home, and that you were watching our conference. And I would also like to thank all of our partners who made this happen, because without them we wouldn't be able, and I have to move because our partners are behind me. This way. So I'm going to read it out for you. So I would like to thank you, Adient, Citi, Dell, Novartis, Swiss Re, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Sam Headhunting, and the coffee you drank today was provided by you by ASO Vending. I hope you enjoyed it with us. I hope you got some inspiring thoughts that are popping into your mind. And I am very happy that I could host this event. And I hope to see you soon. And I wish you a wonderful afternoon and evening. And also, we need to reward someone who was very active in our Slido discussions and who will be rewarded with a gift voucher. So I am going to... Oh yeah, it's going to be Mateja, because you were very, very, very involved in all of the discussions. So a big applause for our speaker. Thank you, and hope to see you soon, guys. Have a wonderful afternoon and evening. Bye.